Okay, let's jump into deriving the theory of comparative advantage, and we will do that in several steps, and in each step we will emphasize one particular important economic concept, and the first one is the production possibility frontier. So we will work through an example, and the objective of this example will be to show that trade is a positive sum game, and that through trade each country can produce more, or actually that through trade each country can consume more than what it individually can produce. So again, the objective is to show that through trade and specialization each country can consume more than what it can individually produce. So now we have an example. We have two countries, let's say the United States and Canada, and they only produce two goods. They produce buns and links, like brats or hot dogs, and all they want to eat is a hot dog. So they always need a bun and the sausage. So they produce buns and links, nothing else. So we just keep it simple. And of course, this is a simple model. And the first thing we need to learn is the concept of a production possibility frontier. So let's start with the United States. And we need to ask the question, what production possibilities does the United States have? So the United States has 8 workers. And one worker can produce either one link or one bun. So the first question is, how can we allocate the 8 workers? Well, what we could do is we could find a way that all 8 workers, they only produce, let's say, links. But then I don't have any worker available to produce a bun. But I could have 7 workers produce links and 1 worker a bun, or 4 and 4, 3 and 5, 2 and 6, or 0 and 8. So let's first take a look at how we can allocate the workers of the United States to the production of buns and links. So allocate workers to production of buns. Let's make a little table, and links. Okay, so how can I allocate 8 workers towards the production of buns and links? Well, I can have no workers produce buns, but then I have 8 workers that obviously work on links, and we always assume full employment. So we always have to allocate our 8 workers to either the production of buns or the production of links. Okay, I can have 0 and 8, or I can have 1 and 7, or 2 and that's 6. So 2 and 6, or 3 and 5, 4 and 4, or I can have 5 produce buns, then I have 3 available to produce links, or 6 produce buns, then I have 2 to produce links, or 7 produce buns, then I have 1 to produce links, or 8 and 0. So this is how we can allocate our workers towards the production of buns and links. Okay, so depending on each combination of allocating our 8 workers, what will be the production of buns. So the first table is the allocation of workers towards the production of buns. So maybe I just call that worker allocation. Worker allocation. And then the next question is, how much is the output of buns and links? Okay, well, if no worker is allocated towards the production of buns, how many buns can I produce? Well, obviously 0. And if 8 workers are allocated towards the production of sausages or brats or links, and 1 worker can produce 1 link, well, then I can produce 8. And if I have the other option is if I allocate 1 worker towards the production of buns and 1 worker produces 1 bun, well, I can generate 1 bun. And the 7 workers now producing links will generate 7 links. Well, since each worker always can produce 1, the output of buns and links is exactly equal towards the allocation. But later when we talk about Canada, it will be different. So the output of buns and links will have the same sequence as here. So we have here 2 and 6, 3 and 5, 4 and 4, 5 and 3, 6 and 2, 7 and 1, and 8 and 0. So this output of buns and links, those are the production possibilities. And we can look at the production possibilities in a table like this. So this is like our table, the output of buns and links that we can produce depending on the allocation of the workers. But typically we don't display such things in a table, but what we do is we plot that as a production possibility frontier. So now, one production possibility is to produce 0 buns and 8 links. So that would be this point here. Or I can do 1 and 7, or 2 and 6, or 3 and 5, 3, 5, 4 and 4, 5 and 3, or 6 and 2, and 7 and 1, or 8. So this table here, I just converted into a production possibility frontier for the United States. Okay, so let's draw that production possibility frontier. Let me use a ruler, maybe I can. Okay, that's good enough. So the United States production possibility frontier looks like this. So it goes from 8 to 8, and it tells us we can produce either 8 links and no buns, or 6 buns and 2 links, and so on. Okay, so now let's do next the same thing for Canada. So I'll just erase this again here. And for Canada, we have only 3 workers. So that means I can erase these. And what I can do is, okay, So the worker, now we do Canada. So if I have 3 workers, I can allocate 0 workers towards buns, but then I have 3 workers available to produce links. Or I can have 1 worker producing buns, then I have 2 workers available to produce links. Or I can have 2 workers produce buns, then I have only 1 available to produce links. Or I can have 3 workers produce buns, but then I have no one working on the links, sausages or brats. Okay, so now it's important to see that 1 worker can produce either 1 link or 2 buns. So that will be important. So now I maybe just put here a little 2 and here a 1, which is the productivity of each worker or the output. Okay, so if no worker produces buns, how many buns can I produce? Well, 0 times 2. But if 1 worker produces a bun, then if 1 worker works at buns and each worker can produce 2, so then 1 times 2, that's 2. And if 2 workers produce buns, well, then I can get 4. And if all 3 workers only produce buns and each worker can produce 2, the total will be 6. Okay, but if no worker produces buns and 3 workers produce links and each worker can produce 1 link, so 3 times 1, that's 3. 2 times 1, that's 2. 1 times 1, that's 1. 0 times 1, that's 0. So now we have a table with the production possibility frontier for Canada. And what we do is we convert that again into a production possibility frontier. Okay, so I hope it is clear how we got to those tables, and now what we do is we just convert it into a graph. Okay, so I can have 0 and 3. Let's make Canada. Okay, so that's this one. Or I can have 2 and 2, which is here. Or I can have 4 and 1, 4 buns and 1. Or I can have 6 and 0. Okay, so let's connect those dots again using a ruler here. And okay, so that looks good. Okay, so now we have the production possibility for each country. And I'll just stop here so that the videos don't get too long, and we continue in the next video with looking at production and consumption under autarky. Okay, so I hope it was clear, and I'll stop here and hopefully see you the next video.